What's up, guys? It's Mrjamvad, and today we are back on the Pokemon Showdown server. We're gonna be getting it today, ladies and gents. Shout outs to Rat Food. I know I've been gone for a minute. You should have seen the YouTube post. If you're not as active on YouTube, where you just come on my channel when it's like time for the games, or when you think I've uploaded, then just check the community tab and that'll give you updates. I'll try to keep you guys posted. No pun intended. But it's good to be back. Sorry for those who weren't able to sleep. If you got into the routine. For me, quarantine is over, and so we're back on road, as the great Drizzy said. As today we're gonna be using a Sun team to kick things back off. It's gonna be a lot of fun as we're playing Kobe TV. So let's do a quick assessment as we gotta be careful of that Cloyster. Especially, I think I'm minus. Well, actually, no, I should be timid. No, yeah. Though I don't think I die from a Jolly Eye Shard. I don't want to give that opportunity if it can be helped. So that's my logic right there. But yeah, so obviously Cinderace, if we're left to right it, the only solid Cinderace switching he'd have upon PYRO balling would be the Incineroar and somewhat Terrakion. Obviously none of these matter if there's Sun up, and so Cinderace outspeeds everything except the Zeraora, which cannot KO me, I believe, unless it's like choice banded or something. Obviously in this game we're gonna try to be doubling down on Venusaur. Upon growthing, we just sludge bomb clean through his team. The thing is, we don't have any hazard control, and so Cloyster shell smashing could quite literally sweep us. I know Torkoal I think can take a +2, but not getting flinch and all these things. So we're gonna try to position ourselves at all times to prevent that Cloyster from shell smashing. Offensively, his biggest problem to me is gonna be Cloyster and Gengar. Como guards well again, so let's do the guard well. For Zeraora, I have Como potentially plus Torkoal, because he could have PYRO. Grimmsnarl is likely suicide screens. Incineroar is likely just Sylvest backing. Gengar, gotta be wary of that. I'm not sure what. I don't have anything like specific for Gengar. Cloyster, just gotta have to prevent that for certain. But I don't have anything for that. And for Terrakion against Como, and so Como guards well against 3, potentially even 4 of his members, even potentially Cloyster with Iron Defense. And so honestly, I'm leaning towards a potential situation of overwhelming the screens, because Grimmsnarl, T-Wave, Terrakion, Grimmsnarl, position nearly. Sorry guys, I gotta account for his Terrakion too, because that's his stealth rocker. So I'm going to, I had to account for his Terrakion. So right here, like, let's say he opts for the taunt stealth rock situation. So right here, he could opt for taunting, which I think is a better play if you're a Focus Sash. Problem with not taunting there is if I was a setup variant, I guess you could have Reflect. But again, I'm leaning heavily towards my Venusaur. And the problem is, well, let's see what he does here. It's just body press, yeah. So he taunts second, which again, it would have been better to taunt first, and go second. And so Gengar comes out, which is fairly interesting, which means that this problematics, this is a problem for him. And so I'm assuming that I don't have a poison switch in, I just noticed, but he seems to Clefable guards well against what? Man, I could Earthquake him, but the light screen going up, I suppose it doesn't matter if light screen goes up. Weather ball, light screen, sludge wave. This is tough. This is tough. If he sludge wave, the play is to. So my weakest link is my Rotom as he substitutes. So the assumption on his, and this is actually perfect for me because I get to VS out and go to my Cinderace. I guess his assumption there was, that actually gave me a lot of information. I guess his assumption there was that I couldn't touch him. Como very frequently carries Earthquake, or maybe he's a sub-disabled variant, and so this allows for my Cinderace to come in. Because of the nature of his initial plays, I'm gonna just straight up attack him, even though it's, oh wow, that's like the best situation. Now this is kind of bad. Thankfully he doesn't go to Cloyster though, because if he went to Cloyster there, I was trying to avoid the free setup. But because he did that, my Como might have just won the game, depending on how he plays this out, right? And I mean, it always depends on how they play it out. But at this point, we're going to be doubling down on Venusaur heavy, and so we're going to sacrifice Torkoal. If he's heavy duty boots, then I'm trying to think which one is better. If I get Rocks up versus, well, it could be Sash Cloyster, just knowing these goons. And so, you know, obviously we want him to knock us out. But we'll take the damage to that Venusaur. I think I might not even need to boost. He actually knocks me out there. Surprise. Problem is we can't afford to take a hit. But as long as we force Cloyster out. It could be a Spadef bulk up. No, but he knocked me out. There's no way he's Spadef. Let's go for our strongest move. Yeah, it's gonna knock. It's gonna hurt. Oh wow, that did a lot more than I expected. This isn't the worst thing in the world though. This isn't the worst thing in the world. I wanted to have this, but again, the ideal situation is just to have Cloyster alive. I mean, so yeah, excellent. So he goes to Cloyster, which means now Cinderace can come in and destroy him. Obviously, we're not going to allow him to Shell Smash. We know he has Ice Shard. And so now we want to hold positions that he can't defend against. In this case, it's going to be Rotom discharging. I'm offensive Rotom, so even if he goes Gengar, he gets bopped. If he goes Incineroar, if he's AV, he has to take Rocks. And so I'm aiming to wrap this up with Banded Cinderace. As he knocks Sax Cloyster, perfect. That's exactly what I needed. So we had to position ourselves around to where Cloyster could not Shell Smash by just using our offensive pressure. And so, you know, at this point, there's no real point in keeping this. Trying to think. I think any version of Incineroar loses to Como. My only qualm obviously is if I miss life because if he goes it's Incineroar, I can hard switch into Como and knock out the Gengar. So Pyro Ball here, thankfully we connect, and then again, so he has no item. Flame Charge, yeah, I think any version of Incineroar just loses. Yeah, probably should have Iron Defense there, to be honest with you, but I just didn't think, I didn't think he'd have, what was that? Oh yeah, that old weakness policy set. I didn't think he'd have Drain Punch. I usually just have Power Whip. Wow, we decayed a ton. 1595, crazy. But we're once I free up sometime this weekend, I'm just gonna ladder up. I just didn't have the time. That's why I didn't upload. But just enjoy the games from where we are. I'm gonna ladder up and off screen, obviously, get us back up to like high 1800s, 1900s, or at least mid, depending on how long it takes. I'll just use a solid team, and you know, that way we can get back to the quality games. A lot in store as we're facing Fellow Sun. A lot in store for you guys. I'm pumped. All right, so looking at my opponent, obviously Sun versus Sun. He has 1, 2, 3 Sun abusers primarily. Zard, Darm, heavy hitting Sun abusers, which actually isn't horrible. Zard is horrible to see, but he's very weak to my Cinderace. My Sun abuser is fast. Well, it could be Scarf Darm. We have to figure that out first. But Cinderace, upon switching, KOs everything on his team except Torkoal. Everything else on his team. Torkoal helps guard against Darm unless banded. Guards against the flower thing. Venusaur destroys him, like literally. If I'm gonna try to get up rocks versus 1, 2, or potentially his own Torkoal. Clefable guards against nothing. It just supports. Now Como is interesting because Venusaur obviously can't touch Como beyond Weather Ball or Giga Drain, and so Como, if Clef is removed, assuming this, or Lizard might have Air Slash, it's actually quite problematic for him, as is Rotom. And so if I had to choose, because we have to be wary of Darm, Clef weakest link for sure, so we're gonna have that be. I just realized I have 2 Stealth Rockers, which actually helps me here because I know one thing he won't lead with is Charizard. I don't want to play around with Rock Slide, Darmanitan, Scarf versus Rotom, and I lose on mine. It's just that's not wise. And so I'm gonna be doubling down on Cinderace this game. Phase 1 is gonna be Rocks. I'm be doubling down on Cinderace this turn. Torkoal's core purpose is gonna be to guard against the Darmanitan. The Charizard is uncounterable. What I have on my side is, if I have Stealth Rocks up, when his Charizard comes in and claims one, I want to start the claiming one first. But phase 1 Stealth Rock. Worst case scenario for my Como lead is Clefable and Charizard. I doubt the Charizard is gonna have a Hurricane, but the upside to Charizard being in versus a Como on lead without the Sun is that it obviously doesn't have the solar power. I can pivot to Rotom. Rotom comes in on whatever flying move, and then I Volt Switch, receiving momentum. Now if he goes Torkoal. Oh, is he gonna time out? Come on, man. If he goes Torkoal in order to prevent, just to absorb a Volt Switch and to get the Sun up. The one that's going to give me the damage I need for Cinderace is Pyro Ball spam, because remember that was the only thing that could switch it on Cinderace. And at that point I could get up Stealth Rock with either Como or my Torkoal. I would have used Torkoal because Como, I don't want it to get toxic and like it's a waste of a or Yond, and then he gets the momentum, whereas with my Torkoal I can get up rocks if he wants to have rocks back up to toxic. So if he wants to play that spin game, he loses that. Well, actually you could technically spin to death, but him losing Torkoal would just mean he's Cinderace's father, and then I'd control the Sun, which you don't want with a Zard and a Venusaur, because at that point Cinderace, even outside the Sun, destroys you. And so my joint sync. I'm not sure if this guy's following me around. I don't pay attention to the names that I saw in the old game. Alright, so I'm facing a Sand team as we slow play Cinderace, Banded, KOs. Okay, so Cinderace is gonna be pivoting a lot. He has 3 solid switchings, assuming that's a Fizdef, Hippowdon, which I force slack off on every time, so that's not the worst thing in the world. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna double down on Seismitoad being his switching. That being said, Venusaur only has 1 mod that can come in on it, and that's Aegislash. But before he has to go Aegislash, he has to go to Hippowdon, and so I'm going to double down on that. Cinderace plus Venusaur in conjunction are uncounterable, but obviously for that to be relevant, I have to have Sun up, and that's where the problem comes in, because I don't come in very well with Torkoal on anything on his team. Now Clefable, it's not that great. Primary Again, wish passing. Oh yeah, I didn't categorize the game. This is looking like a setup and sweep or a... What are my sweepers? My sweeper is Como. I could play this as a setup and sweep, depending on how early he gives me his Togekiss, but cannot allow Como to take any damage because it's going to be imperative for the Excadrill. So we're going to get rocks up with Torkoal. Not sure I'm going to do that. We'll see, but it's going to be imperative, and until I get rid of Seismitoad, Rotom's not doing shit at all. So I'm going to overwhelm the Seismitoad. Gonna overwhelm it. I lack too much information. What I can't do is have his Seismitoad just do as it pleases, and so I'm gonna lead with my Venusaur. Primarily, to the one thing I didn't want to have to see in the beginning of the game was the Seismitoad, right? And so this is an interesting turn because he has an Aegislash potentially. He has a Togekiss potentially, and so if Aegislash comes in and it's Spexed, I might lose a Mon straight up. And remember, we said Como can't take a hit, and so what I'm gonna do is what I've learned throughout the time is how to assess my matchups a bit better, and so Togekiss was his go-to. So now I have Sun Control, right? If he opts for will he go for Air Slash? I'm gonna Toxic. He going for the flinch. Thank you, Torkoal. Thank you. God bless. Really needed that, because remember, as I said, we can play a setup and sweep game, but we need Como-O. We need Togekiss gone in order for that to work. And so this is excellent. He actually goes Keldeo. This is great. What do I want to do here? I'm actually gonna mid-ground Venusaur here because it covers Seismitoad and it covers Keldeo. He's Spexed. I was gonna go to Clefable there, but we can use the offensive. You can go the offensive route on this, and so right here, obviously, he's gonna be wary of me potentially. I'm gonna Giga Drain. Aegislash could come in. But I figured Hippowdon would be his go-to, and because I think he's competent, that's why that Giga Drain play was out of respect. Because otherwise, I would have Weather Ball. But I was like, 1772, you should know that Weather Ball is a potentiality, and if you go for Weather Ball, what am I trying to say? And so again, I have to keep control of this, right? I'm trying to think what doesn't. I know what I'll do. I'll have Aegislash coming just to see what item it is. And so it's Balloon. That's actually very, very good news for us, because Balloon Aegislashes generally aren't special. Even if that's the case, we can pivot into Rotom Heat here. Yeah, it's physical. I wanted to go Como-O, but I think I can sweep him with Como-O. And now we know we can potentially go to our Torkoal on this, and so that's exactly what I'm going to do, anticipating a Shadow Sneak. And this gives us a ton of momentum, because what now? He has to opt for Seismitoad or Hippowdon. I think Toxic. Does Toxic net me more than Rocks? What do I need Rocks for? I don't need Rocks for any KOs. Yeah, I'm gonna Lava Plume hard here. I figured Seismitoad would be his switch, which is why I was gonna Toxic. But what this does is allows Venusaur in. Is he actually Earth Piece? What? He's Spexed. Okay, well, I get to Energy Ball here. I mean Weather Ball here. Man, that's whack. He's fucking Spexed. So the what? Specs fucking Seismitoad. So that threw me off a ton. That means he's Rocks. That's really cool though. But what that means is that he cannot deal with Cinderace. When Cinderace comes in, it's just bodyings. And so, obviously here he could potentially switch out into Hippowdon, which I don't want. It's Fizz Def. This could be Scarfed. And so Hippowdon on Sludge Bomb or Aegislash on Sludge Bomb. It's not Scarf. He took too little from Weather Ball. Sludge. I'll trade Togekiss. I'll trade Venusaur for Togekiss. Since he's spexed, what I can do now is utilize my Cinderace. And if he goes to now I know where my offensive strength lies. And Como is a problem. When my Como Iron defense is over, and so he's forced to lose a Mon here. He actually goes Keldeo, which is dope for me because once I control this Sun, it's a Ratatouille. And well, he could pivot. He could. No. That doesn't really make sense. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way where he doesn't get any momentum. Yeah, Clef. Because if he goes Drill, if he doubled to Drill there, I'm max for that. I don't think that would have KO'd, but basically what that did, if he pivoted to Drill, I can just shut down the Weather. And we're back to square one. Matter of fact, no, I don't need to shut down the Weather yet. He might not have Rock Slide, to be honest, if he's SD. I could be giving up Torkoal here. I mean, giving up. Actually, the correct player is to go to Torkoal. If he has Rock Slide, then Cinderace comes in and gets another KO. Yeah. It forces the Excadrill to get sacked. Yeah. Please don't miss. Forces a sack, gives me Hippowdon. Even if he goes back to Excadrill, I'm just staying in the Power Balling. I have no reason to switch. Yeah. I had no reason to switch there. I knew my positioning. He had to bank on me messing up by going for but yeah, that was just about positioning. It wasn't a prediction there or I got him or something. Man, this fucking this demon this specs fucking Seismitoad. So Wish is free here because it covers the Aegislash coming in with Rotom, right? And you know, obviously here I can go to Rotom and you know he has the Swords Dance and we get to Overheat and all that stuff. And so that's game. And this is not gonna be the longest live today. You know, it's just not. And so obviously Clef wins from here, so we'll just get some Overheat damage on him. These Sludge Waves, it makes sense, you know, you want to have some damage and whatnot, but Sludge Wave is doing how much? 40. Yeah, let's just take the damage. Yeah, guess Keldeo. I don't want to rely. I don't want any kind of hacks. We'll just body press twice. No, Iron Defense and the body press is maybe he's fast. Let me just body press twice. I just don't want to leave it up to any kind of miss. But if it yeah, he's faster than me. Because now he can't knock me out with either. He can't knock me out with Hydro Pump nor GG. He could knock me out with either Hydro Pump nor Sacred Sword. Obviously on the Fizz Def side, I'm much bulkier. Cinderace could have beaten both those, even if he got some kind of luck. But you know, as I said, you want to mitigate as much luck as possible. And so Cinderace, like the huge turn in this game was the Giga Draining versus Hippowdon. Obviously, you'd be like, well, he'd likely go to Aegislash. But the worst of the two would have been him going to Hippowdon on a Weather Ball versus him going Aegislash on a Giga Drain. Him going Aegislash on a Giga Drain, I can deal with. I get information. Him going Weather Ball, Hippowdon on a Weather Ball, is really bad for us. And so once we got that Giga Drain damage, because he has the offensive momentum, you'd assume like, okay, well, you know, obviously Keldeo can't stay in. He's gonna go for the Weather Ball here. Let me nab him on it. Who goes from a water type to a ground type? So like, you know, people, if you're just starting to play, you'll be like, yo, why did he go from a grass sweep to a grass sweep? But as you start to play more, you gain more experience. You realize like, okay, you know, it's not about like typing necessarily. It's about positioning. And yeah, so my opponent played very well. I would have Swords Dance there too, banking on me switching the Cinderace out there, because at that point, while he wouldn't have swept because, you know, Como can take it, it just would have left me in a worse situation than I needed to be. At that point, I didn't need Cinderace to win. And so identifying that was important. So that's where we're going to end the live for today. Short and sweet and to the point. But yeah, I got errands to run today, y'all. So hopefully you enjoyed watching. We're coming back bigger and better, bros. Trust. Excuse me. But yeah, thanks for watching again. Hit the like button down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.